Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, Executive Editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with another one of Dave's Faves. And here's one I'll bet you anything you didn't see coming. It's William Law's consort music. In this case, we're talking about the Harp Consorts. Now, William Laws lived from 1602 to 1645. He was shot and killed fighting alongside his king, Charles I, in what would become the English Civil War, the big Civil War in the mid-17th century with Cromwell and all of those fun people zipping around. Laws was a wonderful, wonderful musician. He specialized in writing consort music for a consort of viols for the most part. But a consort was like 4 or 5 or a bunch of them, and they would sit around a table, basically like a nice square table with the music often written like on one page, right side up on one side, upside down on the other, or something like that. And they would play group music. It was the sort of Elizabethan equivalent or post-Elizabethan equivalent of the string quartet or that sort of thing. And they played the usual Baroque stuff, allemands, corons, pavans, gigs, dance pieces. Mostly dance pieces, but also fantasias and variation sets. Really quite interesting stuff. And Laws wrote tons of this music, quite a bit of it. He really did. The basic viol consort consisted of a bunch of viols. What is a viol? Well, viola da gamba, viol. Viol is sort of like a violin, but it's really a different family of stringed instruments. They have frets, first of all, which, I think they had frets. And usually there was like a theorbo or guitar or manda something, Glenn, strumming along underneath them. But Laws was a very interesting composer. He was harmonically very adventurous. He was a contrapuntal wizard when he wanted to be. And he invented some things, or he didn't invent, but he wrote not just pure viol consorts, which I think is good because a bunch of viols together really sounds kind of like a herd of dying cattle. And you got to be a little careful with viols. I mean, they can be made to sound nice, but it takes a lot of work. He would write what's called a broken consort sometimes. And a broken consort is when you have things besides viols. And these are the harp consorts. And they are gorgeous. First of all, you've got violin, which usually gets the tune, and you've got a harp in the middle, and then you've got your bunch of viols doing the viol things that they do, plus like guitars and other stuff. I mean, it's just a wonderfully succulent, luscious ensemble. And the music is wonderful. You feel like it's the kind of stuff you feel like you're hearing when you're like at a Renaissance fair, or when you see all those thousands of costume dramas now about the Queen of England or Mary Queen of Scots or all of those Shakespeare in Love, all of that kind of music. This is the period, and this is the stuff, and it really does sound like that. I mean, they're not like writing it for the film. This is what they played. And we're really very lucky that we even have the harp consorts because most of them survive. There are 11 of them, actually, and they range from, single movement pieces or dances or arias to multi-movement suite type things. And they are just beautiful. Oh, they're so beautiful. Now, this recording features Maxine Eilander on harp and Les Voix Humaines. Les Voix Humaines consists of a theorbo and guitar, a Baroque violin, and 2 viols da gamba, which are really just beautiful. Viola da gamba is like a cello. A gamba is a leg. The alternative was a viola da braccia, which, with the arm, your braccia thing there, right? So that's what you get. And they have an enchanting sonority. They really, really do. And they're marvelously well played. There had to be a little bit of reconstruction done in a couple of them where not all the parts existed, but mostly the whole thing exists. There's a manuscript, the composer's manuscript. It really is in pretty good shape as far as music of the period goes. And my word, if you want to hear some this is early Baroque. That's really what this is, very early Baroque. It's roughly contemporary with like Monteverdi's Orfeo, that kind of stuff, in the Eighth Book of Madrigals. And so if you want to hear something truly different and unusual, this disc, which is on ATMA, the ATMA label out of Canada, and it's just amazing. It will really, really enchant you. And William Laws wrote a lot of music, and most of it's been recorded, and there's quite a bit of it out there. And he's really a composer worth getting to know. I just think he's fabulous, and I have a wonderful opportunity now that I'm doing Dave's Faves to tell you about my favorite Consort music disc, and so I'm really happy to be able to do that. It's just wonderful. I listen to it more frequently than you might think I would. Let's put it that way, because it's so beautifully played, so beautifully recorded. ATMA does a fabulous job with it. And so give William Laws a shot. If you're curious about the period, about what people were listening to and what it sounded like, this is a wonderful introduction, because it does not sound like a herd of dying cattle. Or it sounds like two dying cattle with a harp. I mean, it improves the tone of everybody to have the harp there in the middle with its luscious liquid tone. Oh, it's just marvelous. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.